Not the adventure we were expecting or hoping for. Stranded in the middle of bloody nowhere. If you missed our last video, we climbed to the highest peak in Western Australia on one of the toughest and most fun four-wheel drive tracks that there is in this state, and then we made our way from there back through the Karijini National Park, and we lost 12-volt power in our caravan. Over the years, we've been to some incredibly remote parts of Australia, but this one right here is up there, right up close to the top of the list. We are in the vast interior of Western Australia. That direction, it's just taken us over 3.5 hours from the nearest sealed road. That way, it's nearly the same to the highway back out near Meekatharra. We're going that way. 150 k's away is Mount Augustus. The scenery and the landscapes out here are something you've got to see. It's off-road, it's remote, it's off-grid, and we are having an absolute ball. Stick around for this one, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you get to see the rest of our adventures as we travel through the remote parts of Western Australia. We're off the coast and we're going remote, and you're coming along with us. Let's do it. Had a really weird noise. Just pulled over to check what it is. It sort of sounded like almost like a fan belt noise, but it was coming from the back of the car.
Yeah, I thought it was a screechy brake noise.
I don't know what, I can't see anything, but it was a really weird noise. It's like a fan belt noise, like a squealing fan belt, but we'll just drive for a little bit and see if we hear it again. It sounded like it was either the caravan or the back of the car. It was hard to tell. Everything looks fine. I don't know. We'll just keep driving and see what happens.
You could just hear it before, hey?
Yeah, just a little bit. It keeps quieter, but I'm just trying to work out whether it's car or caravan. Definitely speed related, like it gets noisier and with the speed. I'm wondering if it's just like dust in the brakes or something, I don't know. It's funny, we're just having the conversation about how remote we are and how far from help we are, and it's almost like we encouraged a problem. Sounds really bad. I don't like the sound of it.
Is it the sound of a loose tyre or anything like that?
I'm just going to stop and check it again. It's not tyre related. It didn't look like, yeah. Really hot. I don't feel hotter than these, but the noise is coming from back here. Sounds like it's coming from here, but like when I'm driving, it sounds like it's coming from the back of the car, but it could be further back, and it's just deceiving, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping it's just dust or something caught up in the brake, but I'm not sure. There's drum brakes in the back, so. Well, we made the call just to pull into camp for the night. It's already getting late in the afternoon. It's after 3 o'clock, so that'll do. We'll just let the car cool down. I have no idea what it is. I've had to crawl around underneath it for a bit and can't find anything. Things that are going on in my head is that it seems to be driveline related. I feel like the noise is either like tail shaft or diff or wheel bearing or something like that. When I take it out of gear, it's less noticeable, but it's still there. It's definitely speed related as well, not revs related, so it gets worse as we go faster. Anything under about 50k an hour, we can't hear it at all. Once you start doing about 60 or more, it starts to become noticeable. Things that I'm worried about, obviously I'm worried about the whole thing, but what's playing in my mind is that we got the car serviced in Newman, at Toyota in Newman, and that was a full wheel bearing service, and obviously all the normal stuff as well. I don't know, that always makes me nervous when you just don't know, have they missed something? Has something not been done properly? Is there a wheel bearing issue? I felt all the hubs feel hot, but not stupidly hot, and they're all pretty similar temperature. So I don't think I cooked a bearing or anything like that. I don't even know if a cooked bearing would make that noise. So the plan for tonight is we are just literally, the road is, I don't know if you can see those road signs behind me there, but the road is just there. We're just pulled over here. Probably the only sort of, the most decent bit of flat ground we can find that didn't have too many rocks and stuff. You know, have a beer, have a quick and easy dinner. I might try and fire up the Starlink and send a few messages out to some people and see if they can help me diagnose what it is I might be facing. It could be nothing. I'm really hoping still that it's nothing. I'm hoping it's a rock flicked up where it shouldn't be, or I don't know, something like that. But time will tell. We'll see. I feel like we jinxed ourselves. We're probably the most remote we've been in a very long time. Well, we are the most remote we've been in a very long time. I'd only just said to Liz this morning how much I love this car and how much I'm enjoying touring in this car. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's always that thing. If you've lost a little bit of confidence in your vehicle, it takes a little while to get that back. But I'll reserve judgment until I know what it is, until we find out more. The other problem we've got is that we're, I don't know, 150, no, we're probably about 120 Ks from Mount Augustus still, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's over 2 hours driving on these sorts of roads. And I don't know that there's much at Mount Augustus anyway. At least we've got plenty of water, plenty of food, plenty of fuel. Anyway, this is part of it, I guess. It's all, you just got to take it in your stride. Doing my best. All right, bit of an update on our power system woes, our 12 volt issue. So what we thought yesterday was that this was the issue, this Victron battery protect, because it was showing an error. What I think now, because when we pulled into camp, we lost power again in the same circuit. So we're talking about lights, USB outlets, fans, and our water pump, which all run off this distribution board here. I don't know, well, that's going to show up there, which runs off this distribution board here, which I've taken the cover off. So all that happens in here is this battery protect, which is essentially a relay, feeds power or to this when the switch is on that we use for travel mode. What I think now has happened, because we lost power again and we're still having weird issues, I think I've figured out that fuse block has a bad connection in it and is shorting out, which is causing everything just to drop out, which is why the Victron unit was giving us an error, because it was a short is what it was detecting. So Titanium are going to send me out a new one of those fuse blocks and a new battery protect, just in case that's also faulty. For now, I've been able to just get it working sort of temporarily with a bit of a temporary fix, just by bridging that terminal. But yeah, we'll see. I think we've isolated it, because it was a weird, but it's one of these things, once you've solved it, we've had these weird things going, like occasionally a light flickering in the van, or occasionally power just dropping out and then coming straight back in again. And it's gradually been getting more frequent. We haven't been able to sort of put our finger on what was going on. A bad earth or a short like that is probably what's been causing it, because that's what makes it intermittent, and it's not there all the time. So I don't want to touch it even while I'm talking here, because I feel like if I touch it, it'll stop working again. But for now, it seems to have rectified it. So fingers crossed, that's all it is. But like anything electrical, you get one little gremlin in there and it can be hard to diagnose. But anyway, glad we've got that sorted. We've got lights and power again, so we can have showers and use taps and all these luxuries again, finally. Well, a new morning, a new day. This morning we've just unhitched the van, and I've just gone for a quick drive in the car just to make sure the noise was still there, which it is. I just thought eliminate one, eliminate that it could have been anything to do with the caravan, but also just whether it was to do with it being hot yesterday. But yeah, it's exactly the same as it was yesterday. So just going to jack the car up and just start checking the basics like wheel bearings and tail shaft. And yeah, I've had a chat with Bodie from McCormack's this morning, and one of his mechanics, which is super handy. I mean, thank goodness for Starlink, otherwise we'd have no communication at all. But yeah, I'm just going to check wheel bearings and check a few of the basics. That's what the guys there suggested as well. Challenge is going to be trying to replicate the noise while it's stationary, because it only happens above sort of 50 or 60k an hour, which yeah, it's going to be difficult to replicate. But anyway, we're going to just figure our way through it. And yeah, it's, I don't know. It only takes something like this to really make you appreciate how remote you are. I mean, we do a fair bit of remote stuff, and we're pretty used to traveling remotely and completely off the grid, but I mean, apart from Starlink. But yeah, stuff like this, it makes you, it brings it home how remote you are. And I did have a moment last night where I said to Liz, you know, we're being irresponsible, taking our family out places like this remote. I mean, we haven't seen a car in nearly 24 hours, which might not sound like a lot, but when you think about where we are, 24 hours, and we've traveled a few hundred kilometers in that time and haven't seen another soul. It's, yeah, and I mean, even this morning, it's coming up on 9 o'clock. I just looked at my wrist like I had a watch on. I don't have a watch. There's been no traffic this morning, no sign of anyone, but the only thing that's keeping me hopeful is that the noise only happens at higher speed, so I feel like at worst we can crawl out of here at low speed. It'll be a long trip out. How much wobble that's got. I'm just checking, I've just jacked up this side, just checking the wheel bearing. It's not, that doesn't feel loose. That's a first tick. I'll double check with Bodie when I ring the guys back, but I'm pretty sure that's how it should be. There should just be the slightest little tiny bit of movement, but certainly no free play. Yeah, move on to the next thing. Now, obviously, we're in the absolute middle of nowhere, so safety is something that's got to come first above all else. It's obviously never a good thing to have to jack your vehicle up off the ground, so we're being as safe as we can. I'm definitely not going to get under the vehicle at all, if possible, and definitely not when we're spinning the wheels to try and we've got the engine running to try and diagnose it. I've chocked off front wheels though, so both sides, front and back, the wheels are chocked. And with the back end of the car off the ground, I'm going to use some firewood that we've got luckily with us, some really good hardwood. I'm going to cut a couple of them with the chainsaw and use them as basically makeshift jack stands or axle stands. And that'll allow me to get the whole diff up off the ground, both rear tyres, but also just a bit of extra added safety with that extra block under there. One thing we didn't think about is the traction control. So when we lifted the back of the car up in the air to try and get the wheels spinning, we couldn't work out why it was making weird funny noises and like lurching. And anyway, traction control. It sensed obviously that the rear wheels were up off the ground and it was trying to send or use the brakes to stop that wheel spin, which was trying to stall the engine out. And anyway, make sure if you're trying to do something crazy like this, you turn your traction control off. That's the short story. All right, let's keep going. Well, we're just trying to replicate the noise. So I've jacked up one side of the diff. Liz is in the driver's seat and just putting it in gear and just letting it drive, trying to listen for the noise. So far, there's a little bit of noise there. It's really hard to know what's normal, what's not for me. So I've just taken a video of it. I'm going to send that over to Bodie and his mechanics at McCormack's and see what they can tell me, whether they think there's anything there that they'd be worried about. I'll keep you updated. Go back in second. Let the clutch out. Yep. Let the clutch out. Give it a little bit of throttle. How fast? 15. 15. All to idle, take it out a second, clutch in, out of gear, grab fourth, clutch out, slowly. How fast? Gradually accelerate. Back off. How fast was that?
So done a little bit of diagnosing. We've got the noise replicated with the car not moving, and we've just posted it to our socials, hoping that all of our Land Cruiser fanatics can get back to us that have maybe been through a similar thing or have some ideas.
All right, so I'm just having a look. Mika Thurrock, which I've never been there, but I'm guessing it's not big, is 8 hours away. And Carnarvon, which would be the next, I think, or maybe Gascoyne Junction in the other direction, is 7 hours. I don't know. We're not at that point yet, but it's worth keeping in mind that that's what we might have to do. I don't know about driving it out of here though until we know more about this issue. So anyway, we'll wait and see what the guys at McCormack say and what our Instagram and Facebook audience can tell us. One cool trick I thought I'd share that Bodie had the idea of was to use a screwdriver like this to try and isolate where the noise was in the driveline. So while Liz was running the car, I was at the back of it and I could hold this against different parts of the diff and of the, of the wheel bearing and the different driveline, and put your ear to it, and you can it helps you to, almost like a stethoscope, to help you isolate and identify the noise. So I've done that, and it sounds like it's more the diff center or somewhere towards the center of the diff than out near the wheels. So I'm pretty confident it's not wheel bearing, not brakes, not anything like that out near the wheels. It's more either the input bearing in the diff, whatever that's called, or something inside the diff itself. Not ideal by any means. Alrighty, well, we've continued the diagnosis, or the attempted diagnosis. It seems that the noise is coming from the diff. Had a really good chat with Bodie at McCormack, so I've been sending him photos and little short videos and stuff for him to try and help me diagnose it. I can't imagine trying to do, without Starlink, we'd be just driving it, I suppose. I don't know. But Starlink's changed the game as far as this sort of stuff goes. So massive thanks to Bodie for trying to help us out. What we've sort of come to the conclusion is that it's not something we're going to be able to completely diagnose or fix where we are with what we've got. So we're going to try and limp the car, towing a caravan out of where we are, which is going to be quite an epic adventure. Not the adventure we were expecting or hoping for. I think for now, it's coming up on lunchtime. I think today's objective will just be to get to Mount Augustus, get into the caravan park there. We can all have a shower and whatnot, and then figure out from there how to get to Carnarvon. Carnarvon from there is about another 6 or 7 hours. Don't quote me on that, flies on the lens. I think it's about another 6 or 7 hours from there to Carnarvon. And Carnarvon's really the closest place we're going to get any reasonable assistance. Toyota, I just spoke to Toyota there. They're booked out till the end of September. We're currently the middle of August, so about 6 weeks. But they did say they'd be able to help us out diagnosing it at least. They might not be able to do the work, but at least diagnosing it and be able to order parts and all that sort of stuff. I don't know what's going to happen from here. I've also just spoken to a mobile diesel mechanic that's based in Carnarvon. Sounds like he might be able to help us out. So we'll figure that out as we go over the next few days. But for now, it's just going to be pack up, hitch up, limp out. Everyone's saying all the advice from both Bodie McCormack and that mobile diesel mechanic is, while we're on the dirt, run it in full drive, which we kind of normally do anyway, just to take as much pressure off the rear drive line as possible. my idea was to drop the shaft out and not run it in rear wheel drive at all, just run it in 4-wheel drive, which would effectively be front wheel drive. But the advice I've been given is that might not be a good idea, because the front drive line, particularly the front diff center and the front axles, especially towing the caravan, that would be a good solution if we weren't towing. We may end up breaking something else, basically putting too much stress on the front drive line. So we'll share the loads, share the stress between the front and the rear by running in 4-wheel drive as much as we can. Pretty shattered, to be honest, pretty disappointed, but it is what it is. Just feels like been hit with a few things in a row lately, which is sometimes how these things happen. I'm not superstitious at all, but yeah, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. We're all safe and we're all good, and we've got communication, so that definitely takes a lot of the pressure and the stress off. Just disappointing, because we're finally gotten to where there's these new spots we wanted to explore, and not to be. We may end up, I don't know whether we'll revisit, come back out. I don't know what's going to happen. That's all to be determined.
What's a man got to do to get a woman like you? What's a man got to do to touch a woman like you?
On the plus side, this road's pretty windy and a lot of crests and dips anyway, so I don't think we'd be going much quicker than we are, even if everything was A-okay. We're just sticking to about 40-50k an hour. Some really rough sections like what we're going through now, and some of it's really good, but at every hill that we got to climb up and everything is just a little bit stressful. So far we haven't had any signs of the noise. For now it's going well. We've got about another 75 k's to get into Mount Augustus. We're not out of the woods then though, that's only just a little bit of civilization. I don't think there's much there.
My stress levels are through the roof. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because you're trying to put on a mask for the little 2 people in the back so that they're not stressed, but don't let the camera fool you. Anything could change in a moment, and honestly it's nice having the knowledge that if it was a big mechanical issue, if the diff does let go completely, we've got Starlink, we can get help. We've got water, we've got food, we've got shelter, we've got an EPIRB, PLB, sorry. We've got everything we need to deal with it. It's just not a pleasant feeling. And like someone said, you know, we were on top of the world with how remote we were yesterday, and that can all just change in a heartbeat, and then you're like, oh my gosh, we are so remote. I've got 8 k's to go and the noise has just started up again, so fingers crossed we just get to Mount Augustus and make a plan for Mount Augustus, and then we'll have at least a point where we can get a tow truck to or make decisions from. 8 k's to go. We can see Mount Augustus, which is absolutely stunning, and I can see why it's such a massive hike. Oh man, it's been a really big day. We made it. Not saying I'm relieved. I'm pretty relieved. Even though we're still in the middle of absolutely nowhere, we're not alone. And there's grass, and I've got cold beer, so everything's gonna be okay. How's that view? It's a pretty good view.
Well, another day, another set of challenges. Well, the same challenges are still there, in fact, the ones that you didn't solve from yesterday, it turns out. Firstly, I've got to say thanks to everyone on our Facebook and Instagram that has jumped in with some ideas and their thoughts and helping us to try and diagnose the issue with the cruiser. We'll figure out what's going on. I think what we've pretty well figured out is that it's definitely something that we can't fix roadside or remotely with what we have at our disposal, with what we've got. So we're basically going to try and get the car to Carnarvon. Carnarvon's about 4.5, 5 hours, I think, from here. Partly dirt, partly sealed. Just trying to figure out the best way to do that. So tow truck's obviously one option. Obviously cost comes into that, as well as I'm not too keen on getting a tow truck to tow the caravan on a dirt road, just for stone damage and things like that. So whether my sort of thinking at the moment is we might look at limping it like we did yesterday along the dirt section, and then getting a tow truck to meet us at the tar. Something like that. I'm not too sure. I've got to get a bit more information on roads and road conditions. There's a couple of different options from here to Carnarvon. All of that is information I'm going to try and get from the guys here at Mount Augustus Caravan Park, which is more of a station stay, to be honest. We're pleasantly surprised. We were a bit, I guess, turned off by Mount Augustus when we realised that the only camping option is this around here, is the Mount Augustus Tourist Park, they call it, but it's like a really nice station stay. If you think of it like that, it is. It's really good. Showers and toilets and dump point, and there's a cafe here. You can get meals here of an evening. It's got a really good feel, and grass, and beautiful shady areas, and good for tent campers right through to caravanners. Powered sites, unpowered sites. They've done a really good job anyway. And the rock, the Mount Augustus, dominates the view, which is a really nice spot to camp. My biggest fear at the moment is that I think not the most likely, but what I'm really worried has happened is that when it's been serviced in Newman, that they haven't engaged the lockers. You've got to engage the rear locker when you do wheel bearings, which is what they did last service in these rear diffs. And if you don't, then part of the locker mechanism can fall out into the diff housing and bounce around in there and cause a whole world of hurt, which could be what we're dealing with. I'm really hoping it's not. The other sort of main theory is that it could be the pinion bearing at the front of the diff housing, which is much cheaper and much simpler to fix. So fingers crossed that's what it might be, or something even simpler than that. We could still be, dust or a rock caught in somewhere that I just can't find. I've dug around in there, I can't find anything that looks out of the ordinary. We sort of don't know a lot more than we did yesterday, but at least we're a lot more comfortable than we were yesterday, as far as just feeling like we've got help at hand, and for some facilities, which is nice when you might have to wait around for a bit. So I'm going to get onto our insurance and our roadside assistance package. So we've got roadside assistance through NRMA, and we also have off-road recovery insurance through Club 4x4 with our car insurance. So I'll just look into those options, figure out if we need to put in a claim or something like that, and then figure it out from there and try and get it out to Carnarvon to a mechanic. Hopefully before we go, we'll still get a chance to go and at least have a bit of a walk up and have a look at Mount Augustus, because we've come all this way, we might as well enjoy it. Fun and games, eh? The challenges and the excitement and the fun of Outback remote travel. What would you rather be doing with your day, eh? Join us next week as we explore Mount Augustus National Park and continue to try and diagnose the issue with our Land Cruiser before making a decision of how to get out of Mount Augustus. And we get to announce some exciting news. Let's go and have a look, and it was going so well.
Boys, can you pause that?
I can pause it here. Well, hang on a second. Better put my hat on. No one will be able to take me seriously without my hat on. I'll just move over here into the shade so you can see me. Oh, maybe you can't see me. The camera will refocus on me. There we go.